Cry-U-One is an environmental odyssey.
It is a multi-artistic formed approach to talking about the loss of land and culture in Southeast Louisiana.
It's land-inspired art, it's culture-inspired.
It's an experiment to save South Louisiana.
Cry-U-One is an outdoor processional performance, an online storytelling platform, and a community engagement strategy. That's really the aim of it is to increase citizen participation in the fight to save coastal Louisiana.
There are many different factors that are playing a role in what's happening in South Louisiana.
What I like to say is the land is slowly but surely being taken back by the water.
So the land is sinking, and meanwhile global sea level rise is happening. So while the land is going like this, the sea is going like this, which makes South Louisiana one of the first places on Earth to be experiencing this level of land loss.
With that, people's way of living is disappearing with it, and it's breaking up people's jobs, way of life, how they live, their communities. As those communities break up, there's less reason to stay.
Given the enormity of the issues that are faced by South Louisiana, from coastal land loss to the impact of hurricanes to the BP drilling disaster, the public has been largely left out of the process around decision-making about where resources go and about what's going to happen to the land.
You know, some folks have the privilege of walking away from the conversation or from the table, and some people don't because it's affecting their people, it's affecting their home, it's affecting their land.
We were having a conversation about our community engagement strategy and wanting to engage with people who are most impacted by land loss, which is part of the reason I think we decided to do it in St. Bernard Parish. And so for me, I was like, the people who are most impacted by land loss and by the health outcomes are people of color and indigenous folks.
As soon as the colonizers came into the territory, they started leveeing the Mississippi and clear-cutting the bottomland hardwoods and the cypress forest to plant their cotton and sugar cane. And where those plantations once sat, petrochemical plants and prisons now sit. They call it Cancer Alley because it's got a reputation. Where I live in St. Bernard Parish, just down the river, we have some of the worst air quality in the nation. Environmental racism is real.
Okay, Monique, you're at time. No, that's time, Monique. Thank you, Monique, thank you.
What Cry-U-One wanted to be in the beginning was in response to the conversations that were being had around the BP settlement money and the Coastal Master Plan, which are these really top-down community meetings where people in power would speak. There would be like a comment card that you could fill out, but there was not opportunity for people from different sectors and people from different experiences of this issue to have conversation with each other.
Given the way in which the people of South Louisiana, especially the people in New Orleans, have taken centuries of hardship and calamity and turned them into celebration, I started to become interested in what does it look like if, despite all of this loss of the land, we celebrate its disappearance and we celebrate the things that are important to the culture.
Partner B, raise your right hand, even if you got a Go Cup in it. And attach that hand to the free hand of partner A. Now some of you might remember this. This right here is what sets us apart in Louisiana from everybody else, because we know how to say goodbye. Yeah, it goes like a 1, a 2, 3, a 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2, 3, a 1. That's right. You know how to do it. Hold them close. You just dance it away. If you done found yourself in a same-sex partner position and you feel uncomfortable, get the fuck over it. It's time for the last dance. Here we go.
So Cry One is actually part of a trilogy of work that began with ArtSpot Productions' Beneath the Strata Disappearing that happened at a studio in the woods in 2006. That inspired a collaboration between ArtSpot and Mondo. We did a piece called Lugaru that we premiered out in City Park in 2009. And this third piece in the trilogy is Cry One.
More than Lugaru and Beneath the Strata, I think we really wanted to, I think we were weary from the pain of it all from Beneath the Strata and Lugaru, and we wanted to find some solutions.
I used to describe Cry One as an eco-experience.
My original idea was to have like some ratty piece of land that looked like there was this underfunded nature tour that moves into this magical dream world.
We learned about this concept called traditional environmental knowledge, which is protracted observation, sitting there and looking over years, over long periods of time, that you're actually taking the wisdom of the landscape and putting it into your plans for how we might save it.
I think that it was quite beautiful sometimes to see how nature was our collaborator.
It was really clear to us that it had some really strong messages to tell us, but how could we amplify those messages, which they were already living there, they were already on the land, right? But how do we amplify them through art?
There was an element of my work as a writer that was being in rehearsal, listening to improvisations, taking in what was being generated physically. And then there was also a part of my work that came from the land.
In St. Bernard Parish, we crossed over the Fardy-Arpin Canal and we moved up the levee into witness of what became really the main character of the play, which was the disappearance of the central wetlands. This wetlands that in 70 years had basically disappeared because of saltwater intrusion.
It was like witnessing the remains of a genocide. That's what it felt like, a genocide of trees.
And that always struck me as that's the moment where you kind of locked everyone in, where you were like, okay, you're here, you're on this ride, this is what we're showing you. And then we're gonna take you all the way to the end where we're gonna show you the positive side of it.
Cry One is an interactive experience because the show really asks people to give into behaviors and experiences that modern life push us away from.
We've all experienced, and we hear stories about audiences that are extremely reluctant to do things when they're sitting in chairs in front of a stage. But there's something about the Cry One experience, they're up on their feet almost from the beginning.
They wanted to participate, and they wanted to take those experiences and then bring them back and apply them to their everyday lives.
Because they gave over to the joy, they don't have time to reconstruct their walls or pack that back up. So they're ready to also give over to the sorrow and to the loss that they have to deal with when talking about the land of Louisiana.
the artistic voice, the expression of art is not only a unique way of communicating about a topic, but it's an essential one and an important one because it conveys the message to people that won't hear it or won't hear it as strongly in any other way.
You know, the healing is inside of you. And the more that you know that, the more you'll be able to help others how to heal. You, my wounded one, will become a healer. Your job is to teach other people the things that you learn.
They can see that it can be done, and maybe there's solutions, and maybe you can put yourself in there and go on the journey, especially how participatory it is, going on this journey with all these crazy people processing, what are we going to do about this?
One of the purposes of art is to kind of show people a way to look at something in another way that they don't normally see. It's like giving them a door they didn't know it was there to look at an issue.
The role of the artist is really inspire people to dream outside the box and to pursue the better that we deserve.
Like, these are all things that artists can do, and I think oftentimes are not centralized in social justice movements because it's seen as being like floofy stuff that is kind of off to the side if we have time. And, you know, I'm always going into these spaces and pushing back against that and saying if you start to put art at the center, you're going to see a shift in your own relationships with each other in this work, which will be more sustainable and won't lead to as much burnout. But you're also going to, I believe, be much more successful.
Parts of this place are going to go. And realizing that makes me think about, okay, how do we cherish what we have? How do we cherish our community here? How do we support each other?
Holding space in that dome has kind of changed my own, direction in life, and being able to share seeds and share stories and really go deeper in that within my own community and kind of use that as an inspiration for being able to have real civic dialogue in my own communities.
Because it's those relationships that are built that aren't based on funding, they're based on this kind of really deep commitment to the communities, to the people. And I think that's the kind of organizing that is responsible, that's accountable.
The end of the performance, it takes you out with a song of prayer and praise that asks you to think about what alternatives and other possible answers to these questions are.
The answer is in your dreams. The answer is in your dreams. Got a problem that you can't solve, Lord. The answer is in your dreams. And so, to me, that actually becomes the beauty of a large collective performance. Is that we create a space. We bring the audience into a space of collective dreaming.
Sing